Well, hello. Welcome back to 9 Years in China with me, Teacher Kenny. Hope you're enjoying my little videos and my little stories. Don't forget to just watch and subscribe. I try to make things different. We try to talk about people, places, and things. And like today, we're going to talk about a little bit of methodology. Remember, I was teaching college English the whole time I was there, and I got to help out lots of, middle school and, and some high school from time to time, but, because we're always going around visiting schools. One thing I figured out real quick is that English is important to us, and it is important to the Chinese student also, but they have their own life to live. They can't, unless you're an English major where you spend your whole school day working with something about English. They go to English class, and then the next thing you know, they're in a Chinese math class, they're in some kind of political party class or something. So you only have them, once or twice a week, depending on who you're teaching in your school. Then they'll have another English class with their Chinese teacher usually. Usually the average non-English major will have a couple classes of English a week because it is important. But to them, as soon as they get out of English class, they're ready to go play video games or go shopping on the internet or whatever. So I was always trying to figure out how to build a better mousetrap. And they told me long ago that I didn't have to use a textbook, which I'm glad. They would give you a textbook if you didn't know any better. But I had grasped teaching pretty easy, and I knew what the students needed, and it follows along with what the books are trying to show you. But a lot of times, if they have a textbook, they know what's coming. If you're going in order, they know what you're going to be doing each class. I don't want them, and I never did want them to know what we're going to be teaching, because they can study for it. All right? And there's nothing wrong with that until they start having conversational English. When they start having my classes where we're delving into conversation and talking to each other, I don't want them to practice. I want everything to come out spur of the moment, just like I was talking to you. I meet you in the hall and we start having a conversation. You got to understand that spontaneity is what triggers conversation. And so I never wanted them to know ahead of time what we were going to do, unless it's something I wanted them to study. Because sometimes we might be doing a business presentation, which I want them to practice, and they can prepare a little video or whatever. Or we might do a play of some kind, a little small play where I let them act for 10 or 15 minutes. And that's a lot of fun. And that's a whole different subject. But my normal classes, I figured out pretty quick, the less time that I spend talking, the more time they spend talking. And if you only have them for 45 minutes, or maybe if you're really lucky, you get them for 2 periods a week, that's not a lot of time. So I developed really quick putting them into groups, small groups, and a lot of times I might change the groups around depending on the level of the student. I want a really good speaker or somebody that's better in each group to help spur the conversation. Because some of the boys and girls, and I say boys and girls, I was teaching college, but some of them are not very good. They're not very confident also in their English. And you got to spur that on. You got to kind of kick it in the butt. So I put them in a group, 5 or 6 people. If you're teaching, if you're over there in China and you're watching this video and you have a class of 47, 50 people, it is hard, really really difficult to do what I'm telling you to do. But when you got 20, 25 students, you can do this and you can teach them and they will learn and they will get better. But I'd come in and I've written some books. And I'll show you in another video a textbook that I wrote or had written. But we take a topic. It might be aliens one day. We might be talking about aliens. Or we might be talking about love. And I get them to sit down in the groups and they can read off the screen the list of questions. And they just go around asking each other the questions. And everybody's taking part of that, taking turns. And everybody's taking part in answering these questions. And so you start getting also different people, different opinions, so the conversation can change as it goes around in a circle. That's real conversation, see? And if I had them using a textbook, I'd probably never put them in groups, and they'd be sitting there by themselves and not having anybody to talk to unless the exercise in the book depended on it. So anyhow, I snuffed all those books. I had my curriculum and fit what the school was wanting to get from the students. I knew what they wanted, and it's my job to get them to speaking. So we would do that. I'd get them started, and I'd go around and sit with them, actually not being up in the front of the class, just watching like a hawk. I go around and play with them. If you're going to teach, they got to buy what you're selling. Understand? And you get in there and you engage with them and let them ask you questions too. And it becomes a lot more fun. You're developing a relationship and they're speaking a lot. And I just go around class all period doing that. Now, every class is a little bit different. Right at the first, I might be trying to teach them something that follows the lesson or something that I forgot or whatever. So we'd get that over with real quick because I wanted them spending their time speaking English, and I just go along and help. And it's not me being lazy. I'm trying to get the most I can out of those kids because I know they're not going to probably speak any more English until next week. So if you are a teacher, it doesn't, and here's the thing about it, it doesn't matter if it's grade school, middle school, high school, or whatever, they all have some form of vocabulary. Especially when you get to middle school. When they start getting grade 7, 8, 9, they know enough English to have a little conversation. You just got to get it out of them. But if you let them play with each other, let them use their telephone. I'm not big on use of telephones, but they have their dictionary. And so let them look up a word. If they're trying to think of an English word, well, let them look it up and introduce that word to the group. Because if they don't know it or they can't think of it, chances are some of their classmates are going to be in the same boat. So I encourage them to pick that vocabulary up and use it, because if they use it, they're going to remember it also. See, so everything is a plus for the student the way I did my classes. And I encourage you to find some way to do something similar. Because if you're up there at the front of the class and your mouth is moving all the time, they're not learning crap. And they're the student. They're the one that needs to learn. You already know. So you put the motion in gear and do it and let them grow. So anyhow, there's some thoughts. And this, like I said, this video was made just for you teachers, maybe not the casual observer of my channel. But anyhow, maybe you get something out of it. Maybe you understand what it's actually like to be in that classroom with those kids. Because remember, they're come from a whole different world than we do. And they got to live in it just like we do. And English is a big, big thing. So anyhow, you have a good day, and I'll talk to you later, okay? Don't forget, subscribe to my channel. See you later. Bye-bye.